Welcome to IJKL's exploration of sparks beneath the Omer with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi?
Thank you, Marcia. And Marcia, thank you for taking over the moderation and the refereeing of the class. Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome. Joy for me to be here.
Okay, and Marcia, even if you're moving to the West Coast, thank God for Zoom, and you're not going to be prevented from assembling with us.
Thank
right?
you. Well, one of the collateral blessings of the pandemic for many of us has been Zoom and other methods of being able to connect and connect deeply, surprisingly,
Yeah.
for this kind of venue.
Yeah. Okay, just let me do something on the computer here. Okay. Okay, so friends, we proceed from the energy of Gevura, which will encapsulate an hour and a half of last week, and we'll use those definitions to remind us of the energy of Gevura by invoking the word channeling, our ability and capacity to channel and direct. And it is, we're going to start preliminarily with the idea that chesed, kindness, love, is an infinite, unstoppable energy that encompasses all of creation. The everything behind what we call reality is suffused with and encompassed by chesed, love or loving kindness. And that's an important idea for us to absorb. That power of love, of infinite love, ahavat olam, has to be channeled, or else it really doesn't exist, or it can't exist. So Gevura is that harnessing power that regulates and directs chesed. Now, the combination of these two energies is usually encapsulated in the idea that the merging of these of this infinite love and the channeling of that love produces a type of balance that we call tiferet. In other words, the co-joining of these two forces produce this third force, this third energy, spherotic field of Tiferet. But that really would not be doing total justice to Tiferet. Excuse me, to describe Tiferet as a mere product of Chesed and Gevura. It would not be doing Tiferet justice. It would not be placing Tiferet in an energy zone in and of itself. So this teaching is going to be an attempt to isolate Tiferet as an energy field, as a type of chakra that has its own power other than the perfect combination between Chesed and Gevura. So let's first start off with words, with descriptions of how Tiferet was translated throughout the ages. The first two most common translations of Tiferet is beauty or splendor. Beauty or splendor. And I don't know how you feel about it yet, but translating Tiferet into the word beauty really is begging for commentary, because we English speaking people, we use the word beauty in so many different connotations that I think if we merely stick with the translation of Tiferet as beauty, we voluntarily confuse ourselves. Beauty is an English word that has too many associations that might lead us astray. Splendor is a broader word, but still, if I would ask all of you, can you please define for me what splendor means? I think we might have to look it up to find what exactly does splendor mean. So to translate the word Tiferet into beauty, which has many different connotations, and splendor that we don't exactly know, that we can't put our finger on what splendor really means, we're not doing ourselves any good by using those translations. Only after we really hit the target can beauty and splendor make any sense. Do you guys agree? Give me one or two comments. Nobody. Okay.
Yes, Rabbi Akiva. Beauty to me goes much deeper. I don't even see a relationship between beauty and splendor, because beauty is the inner part of a person, what makes a person whole and unique and caring and tender and sensitive. And beauty is just not splendor. I don't see beauty and splendor even alike in any way.
But Marilyn, beauty is not only inner beauty. That's how you want to take it, maybe right now. But beauty has many, many different connotations.
Yes,
other than inner beauty.
Okay, you could talk about the beauty.
Yeah, I know that I am saying that beauty has many, many different, one of them being inner beauty, but we use the word beauty too often in too many different circumstances for us really to get a clear picture of Tiferet being restricted to the word beauty. So I want to broaden our idea of Tiferet.
I do see Marilyn. Is your hand up?
Yeah, I was going to say that beauty is reaching the highest possible level of whatever you're referring to. That's my interpretation.
Okay, I hear, and that's actually how it is, how the mystics attempted to use the word beauty on its for sure on its highest level. But I want to introduce two other words. Well, actually, by the end of the teaching, maybe four different words for Tiferet. But the first two are going to be Tiferet as balance, or equilibrium, and maybe more importantly as Tiferet as harmony. And harmony here meaning not merely the combination of two different entities coming together and creating a harmony, but harmony in the sense of wholeness. In Hebrew, shlemut, shalom, as a perfectly organic whole. So I want to go back a little bit to the creation story, because friends, don't forget the tree of life, the spherotic tree, actually all originates in the original creation story, and there are so many beautiful and deep and insightful thoughts that we can extract from the creation story to give us indication of what these spherotic energies really represents. I want to translate also Tiferet. So we have harmony and balance, and shlemut, and the energy that emanates from an organic wholeness. What an organic wholeness produces, the energy it produces. And I'm going to call that energy the consciousness of purpose. Now let's go back to the creation story a bit. While there is a consciousness of while there is a purpose that exists in every level, in every aspect of the creation story. And please take this metaphorically, that on every day of a new emergence of creation, on every stage of the evolutionary story that the narrative of the Torah metaphorically describes, there of course is a purpose in every level of creation. Day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. But the purpose of creation does not become, and this is the scoop, friends, does not become fully conscious until the creation of the human being. Only with the creation of the human that is created in the divine image, and only then does the divine breath enter into the first created being. It is only then that we as humans become a conscious purpose of creation. What does it mean? We've done this many times before, but I never tire of speaking about this, because this is so fundamental, and it's so fundamental to our understanding of Tiferet. What does it mean to be created in the image of the divine? Image means the possibility of likeness. Image means the possibility of likeness. When we are created in the image of God, of the divine, of the Ein Sof, when we are created in the image of infinity, that means that there is a possibility of likeness towards infinity. It also means that just as divinity has purpose, this new creation called the human being includes a being that can embody purpose also. Friends, we rarely, I think we rarely describe divinity as having purpose. But we certainly cannot say that divinity is purposeless. Therefore, we must say that divinity, God, has purpose. And when we are created in the divine image, that really means that we are created for purpose. And not only for purpose, but for conscious, self-conscious purpose, that we know, that we are aware, we realize, or we are able to realize our purpose. And friends, I believe that is a chidush. That is a chidush.
Rabbi Shabri has her hand up. Are you taking?
Yes,
comment?
yes.
Shabri, turn your mic on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Rabbi. So, Rabbi, the thought of it, we are created in the in the likeness of God. Now, I thought immediately, how can we define that when the definition has something to do with consciousness, or when we don't really understand consciousness, that throughout the ages, forever and ever, so far, we do not, at least I have to say, I don't understand consciousness. Maybe somebody else does. But I mean, if you want to call it awareness, you can call it awareness, but it still doesn't really come alive for that. So what do you, how could you help
Shabri,
me?
I have to disagree with you.
Okay.
I have to disagree. You are not somebody who is not aware, self-aware of your own consciousness.
But what is it? What is
it depends? It depends to what degree. There is a vast amount, an infinite amount of degrees of self-awareness and being aware of our conscious purpose. The degrees are going to vary, but you are conscious on many different levels of Shabri.
I am conscious, but I still do not understand what the term consciousness is. What is consciousness, which everything is consciousness? I still, maybe when you were talking last week about revelation, God wanted us to understand what that consciousness was. That's the revelation. When I experience revelation, I might get it.
You understand revelation more than you do consciousness. Consciousness is what's
yes, I do.
Consciousness is what is. Without consciousness, you can't really have revelation, right? Because revelation can only be revealed through the vessel of consciousness. You are using the vessel of consciousness to receive revelation.
Yes.
And yes, there are depths to consciousness. Consciousness means what's happening inside of you. Is going into the deepest realms of your inner self. That's what consciousness is. Is delving into the deepest recesses of your psyche. Or some would say entering into your neshama world.
Shall we see what Joan has to add to this conversation?
Sure.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
What I could add to the conversation is that I may not have words for something and I can still experience it without understanding it. But that's not why I raised my hand.
That's also true what you just said, but go ahead.
My question is, how does contentment fit into the definition or the examination of Tiferet?
Contentment?
Contentment.
Oh, you're okay. You're entering into you're introducing a new word.
I don't know if I am. I'm asking you.
Okay. Joan, very simply, I believe that when we are balanced, when the flow of chesed is properly channeled by Gevura and properly directed, that means that we are in balance, and we find ourselves in a place of harmony, because balance creates harmony and shleimut. I think the product of harmony and balance, the product of it is that word that you just used.
Contentment.
Is contentment. I think the product of the former, of being balanced and harmoniously merging two energies that are going to be flowing so equally and so harmoniously. I think that creates contentment.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have two more hands. Did you want to take comments now, or?
Yeah, for sure.
We have first Molly and then Bruce.
Good morning, Rabbi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay. I'm trying to phrase this properly. If we are made in the image of God, it's not our exterior that is important and that everybody puts value on. It's our interior. And so I think that's more of what we have to bring, is who and what we are on the inside. And I think a lot of humanity looks at the exterior. And if you ever have occasion to be with what people call people that are not somewhat perfect or don't appear to be the most beautiful or the most this or whatever, but when you get beyond it, the interior is so beautiful that you forget what the exterior looks like. You don't see the exterior.
Absolutely.
And that's where the beauty lies.
Okay.
Is
and
forgetting the exterior and
absolutely.
only addressing the interior.
That certainly, Molly, is the prerequisite. I'm hardly even talking about the exterior of anything here.
Right.
So you're absolutely correct. But I want to, when you say it has to do with the interior, it has to do with the inside, I want to pinpoint what is it on the inside that we are referring to. The inside, the inside is very vast, and if you're going to say soul, that certainly is even vaster. I want to pinpoint
your heart.
Here I am pinpointing
neshama.
Those are all too vague. They're all too big. They're all too big. And I am pinpointing that the essence of neshama and the essence of anything that you are going to use,
right,
is going to be, we are now defining that this new creation called humankind, the human form that was created in the divine image. What does that mean? Just as the divine, what does it point to? Just as the divine has, divinity has purpose with a capital P, being created in the image of that divinity means that we, the human being, is an embodiment of purpose. When the Torah says we are made in the likeness of God, we can say, i.e., that means we are created with purpose. And nachtetzu, a little bit more than that, we are created in a form that we are conscious. We are made conscious of our purpose. We are made to struggle with our purpose. I don't
Thank
know.
you.
I don't know whether this is an exact metaphor, but all throughout Jewish tradition, we have the 5 days of creation. We have the seas and the mountains and the fishes and the stars and the cosmos, and they are all considered creations of divinity, creations ex nihilo, from nothing, only coming from some semblance of a divine source. The only thing that differentiates the 5 days of creation to the 6th day, when the human being is created and isolated from the rest of the 5 days, is that the creations of the 5 days are not necessarily conscious of their own purpose. They just do what they do. We are the only ones that are self-conscious in the likeness of God.
Rabbi, you ready to hear Bruce? His hand's been up for a while.
Yeah, just let us contemplate that for a moment. We are the only ones that are self-conscious, just like divinity is. I don't think a rock, I don't think a little doggy or your cat. There is, in the animal world, there is a semblance of self-consciousness, but nothing compared to the human being. And a rock and inanimate objects of the former days of creation have less and less and less consciousness. The pinnacle of creation is that creation that is created in the image and likeness of divinity, and that means consciousness, and consciousness equals purpose. We are aware of our own purpose, or we are aware that we are seeking a purpose. Bruce.
In regard to what Shabri was talking about, you were talking about in terms of conscious purpose, I wrote some notes here. Let's see, in an attempt to understand for myself and synthesize. the question of consciousness. How do we describe consciousness? Well, the brain processes external reality in terms, at least, of linguistically and neurologically, verbally, analytically, perceptually, and it helps with a language to decode, and through this process come to what we call understanding of consciousness slash processing external reality.
But Bruce, what you're saying is true on certainly on one level of awareness, but that's not the end of the story of consciousness. That's a very elementary level of perceiving. I have eyes, and I see things, and it registers in my brain, and blah blah. You know, that's a very elementary level of perception. When I am introducing after we become experts, masters of that type of perception, that begins grade one. That's when we enter into grade one in terms of the deeper level of consciousness, when we start contemplating our purpose. What you're talking about is the mechanical things of reality. I'm talking about the sublime. After we become geniuses and get our PhDs in that reality that you're talking about, then we can start speaking about a more subliminal type of consciousness that is called purpose and meaning.
Okay, that word meaning was exactly what I was looking for in my brain. In other words, what I described in a preliminary way was the foundation. And now I take it that having established that foundation, we're now talking about another, I think Shabri would agree with me. What do we mean by meaning? What is meaning? You could say something that has value, another abstract noun. Where are we going with this? To some extent, Rabbi, I raised the question, where are we going with the nature of what you refer to, what we refer to collectively as deeper meaning?
Bruce, I think the answer to your question is the history of the unfolding of Jewish wisdom. I think all of Jewish wisdom, I think all of the Torah, I think all of any and every mystical thought that was ever thought of in Jewish circles and in non-Jewish circles is the answer to your question. But I think to identify the first step, the stepping stone that creates the divine image in us, has to do with our emulation of divinity vis-a-vis purpose and meaning. God has purpose and meaning. God creates mankind who has purpose and meaning. I think the first step for humanity is to realize that we have meaning and purpose. We are made in the likeness of divinity. I think the answer to your question is the unfolding of human wisdom throughout the ages. We are told that divinity has dominion over the earth, or divinity is dominion. And that dominion has been granted and gifted to mankind. As God is metaphorically king of the universe, mankind is king and has dominion over the earth. And Tiferet is the energy of the agency of humankind, where our capacity and power to emulate, where our mirroring capacity of divinity takes place. It is in Tiferet that our capacity to mirror divinity, to reflect our divine image, is at full force. It is in Tiferet where we become, in the words of the mystics, where we become an olam katan. We become a microcosm, a miniature, we become a miniature universe where all divine creative powers are put into man, and man exercises on the level of Tiferet. Man is prepared and ready to exercise divine powers.
Develop international influence or start operating on an international scale. Okay.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that at all. Can you please say it over?
You weren't supposed to hear that. That was something coming through on somebody's phone.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a question that I didn't understand. Okay.
Nope. Oh, but Joni has her hand up.
Hi, Akiva.
Hi, Jonala.
So what I'm hearing, I'm going to repeat what you said before. You said, we're created in the image of the divine, which gives us the possibility of likeness towards infinity. So what I'm hearing from that
No,
is...
hold on, Joni. Hold on. You can't stop there. You can't stop there, because it's not the likeness towards infinity. My point is likeness towards divinity equals the capacity and potential to be aware of our purpose and meaning. That's exactly what we are as human beings trying to mirror in the divine image. We are trying to we are tapping into the power of meaning and purpose. We are ascribing meaning and purpose to this Ein Sof, to this infinity, and that is the likeness that we are created with. So
Right.
it's meaning and purpose, not infinity.
Right.
Okay.
So my question is, how I'm interpreting that is that we are created in the image of divinity, and what we embody then are the attributes, all of the attributes of divinity. And then, and this is where I'm thinking that our purpose, our consciousness is to become fluid and embracing of those attributes of divinity, that is ultimately our purpose. Am I close?
You are close, but you're not. It's good that you're saying this because it gives an opportunity to refine the idea. Joni, you said it very well, but let us not confuse all of the attributes of divinity right now, because there are many attributes, and I don't want to confuse everybody with all of those attributes right now.
Okay.
The attribute, the one and only attribute that I am divine attribute that we are now tapping into and attempting to mirror in the Sphira of Tiferet, is the attribute of acquiring meaning and purpose. Just as divinity has meaning and purpose, at least let us realize on the ground zero level of our consciousness, let us proclaim to ourselves that we have meaning and purpose. Just as that is fundamental to the essence of divinity, let us recognize that in ourselves, which we do not do enough of. There's a billion things that in life that take us off that track. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a billion things that we allow ourselves to be distracted from meaning and purpose.
Okay.
And from broadening our view and our scope of our lives, of our existence. We have become very small.
Yes.
And we have become very specific. And we have become very selfish and very arrogant and very egotistical, that we're drowning in our own egos. So the attribute that I'm talking about here, Joni, amongst the infinite amount of attributes, is only one, is only a self-awareness of my own purpose and meaning, that exists within me. That is the divine image within me that we're talking about here.
Okay.
That I have meaning and purpose outside of what I might be constricting myself to a very narrow scope of self. I'm reminding myself in the Tiferet zone that I have ultimate purpose just as divinity does. If we are able to say that with kavanah, with real kavanah, every morning and afternoon and evening, or for that matter, walking around with such a confidence. I have meaning and purpose. My life is not useless. I am not an animal. I was not created on the first 5 days. I was created on the 6th day of creation, separate from those that are not fully conscious of their own consciousness. We were created differently. We are able to pinpoint, to pinpoint and to exact meaning and purpose out of life. That is the power and the potential that lies within Tiferet. That is the beauty of Tiferet. That there is meaning and there is a power and a potential in that meaning and purpose. That is Tiferet.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And I have to admit that when the narrative in the story of creation, when it says you shall work the earth, vikivshuha, and you mankind will have dominion over the earth. I know that idea of mankind having dominion over earth and having that kind of kingship, we have that that authority over earth and over humanity, that has become recently and also in the past, that has become under suspect. Because we have become aware of how badly we are managing the world. We've become aware what kind of screw ups we are. And it didn't start in our generation. The Torah records it. Not 2 or 3 chapters into the story of creation and into the story of the potentiality of man emulating the divine purpose and meaning. Not 2 or 3 chapters into it, we have the story of mankind mismanaging his and her dominion over the earth, with the story of the flood and the story of the Tower of Babel. That is the first 2 metaphoric examples of our screw-ups, and how we are able to take that unbelievable power and distort it, distort the purpose and distort the meaning of being created in the likeness of God. And Taka, even today in 2021, as we look back at, we just commemorated Yom HaShoah. What an epic screw up that was, to put it mildly. What an epicenter model of man's inhumanity to man, man's the antithesis of tiferet, of the splendor of man, the antithesis we just commemorated. So yes, we seriously should be asking ourselves and wondering whether we have forfeited our right to that sort of dominion over the earth. We should be asking ourselves that. And that is part and parcel of the question and the beauty of the self-awareness of meaning and purpose. The power of meaning and purpose is to ask ourselves, do we deserve that any longer? But let us not despair, because we have to take solace from the Torah, because we have the story of the flood and we have the story of the Tower of Babel, which means, boy did mankind fail. Boy did mankind boy did mankind misuse this unbelievable divine potential. But the biblical story goes on and encourages us with the story of Abraham and Sarah. You know what? The summary of the introduction of Abraham and Sarah into the Torah is, in summary, God, divinity, creator of all of this potential, did not despair. God did not give up on us. God found a shining light in Abraham and Sarah. God did find a spark of a human being, of human beings that had higher ideals, that were able to envision higher visions. And therefore, the Torah, the Bible, continues its story of mankind. And this higher vision, friends, is an awareness, it's a seeing of a higher purpose. Abraham and Sarah are introduced into the Torah only as models that the potential of humankind is still intact. And you don't forget that Avraham symbolizes the sphere of Chesed. So the introduction of Abraham into the Torah is really in a mystical manner saying Chesed still abides, still is flickering in the heart of the original human. And we are going to start our story all over with Abraham, with Chesed. And we are going to continue on through history. God did not despair. And that's why the Avot and Imahot are we always refer back to them, because they were the sparks that without which, we might have gone down into the abyss together with the flood and the Tower of Babel. So we keep them we keep them alive and we keep their vision alive. Friends, what is a visionary? Because Tiferet has to do with keeping our vision of purpose and meaning alive. What is a visionary? What is a vision? A vision is nothing less than seeing, in quotes, seeing, perceiving a higher purpose. That's what a visionary is. Think of any visionary throughout history, and you're going to be able to define that person's vision, that person's perception of the world, perception of him or herself, in terms of those individuals that see a higher purpose. An individual, and any one of us included in that, an individual that can see magnificent, wondrous possibilities that have not yet been actualized, is called a visionary. I have a dream is a visionary. Anyone that sees anything, that perceives of a higher purpose, a higher meaning that is not yet concretized in front of me, is a visionary.
Rabbi?
And visions come from the sphera of Tiferet. Comes from the energy field of meaning and purpose, seeing meaning and purpose, even though the meaning and purpose might not be concretized right in front of me now. Yes, someone was.
Yes, Rabbi, excuse me, Shabri has had her hand up, and I think Maxine has been signaling that she would like to speak when Shabri is done.
Oh, thank you.
And then Joyce.
This is very interesting, Rabbi, and people. While you were talking, Rabbi, a bird flew up on my terrace up here on the 12th floor, and my cat went out to say hello to it. And believe it or not, they're both conversing with each other. A little bird. Can you imagine? Usually a cat goes after the bird, but that's a higher vision, wouldn't you say?
They must be zooming in.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that
there must be some Tiferet energy coming out of your computer screen.
Well, when you were talking, I was thinking to myself, we didn't we didn't really identify splendor. But when you were talking, I was saying to myself, the splendor of human beings is the splendor of Tiferet, that you can't define it, but it comes through us as the image of God, actually. And
oh, beautiful.
It's very
Okay.
exciting.
Good. Leave it at that. You just made the nice connection. Great.
Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Maxine, did you have something you wanted to say? If so, there you go.
Yes, I was going through a lot of things and agreeing and wanting to explain it, but I really should have written it down, because I was just kind of agreeing with what the rabbi was saying, but I also had some specifics which now have gone out of my brain. So thank you anyway.
They'll come back. Raise your hand again. Joyce? Joyce, I see your picture. Are you here with us? Your hand is up. Wait,
Okay,
here she comes.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, everybody, for engendering the class and Marsha for doing this. I wanted to say, Rabbi, when you were talking about visionary, as a former educator, librarian, I realized that every teacher is a visionary, as is every artist in every form of art. And I'm sure the list goes on, but those two focuses came to mind. So thank you. That's very sweet.
Joyce, thank you for that, because my next note in my note is to actually say exactly what you said, that when I speak of visionaries, those that are able to see things that have not yet been actualized. I am not only talking about theologians and mystics and religion. The energy and the potential in Tiferet, this ability to envision purpose and meaning, and to create a kind of visual actualization. In the Eastern religions, they talk a lot about visual actualization, is not restricted to religion and spirituality. It is in the spiritual realms, but it also exists very much in the moral, in the scientific, in the astrological, in every aspect of human endeavor and human accomplishment and human creativity. The power of Tiferet to see things that are not there yet, to be able to envision, to be able to dig deep into meaning and purpose, belongs to every realm of human creativity. And friends, we don't do enough of that. We do not tap into our Tiferet energy, karmic places enough. We, as I said before, we are so self-involved in our own little cosmic lives that we prevent ourselves from seeing the forest for the tree.
Rabbi?
And we do not exercise enough in that. We do not flex ourselves. We do not create enough private time, enough private contemplative time for that type of expansiveness of our purpose and our meaning and our place in this reality we call life. And therefore we do not derive proper satisfaction from life. Or we do not absorb enough of the nectar of life, because we are just simply too involved in the narrow places that our lives demand or command of us. You know, so I read, I saw something years ago, but the place of Tiferet is a place of contemplation of my own meaning and purpose in life. And it's from that point that I can go into my, into personal life, but it has to start off with a very, a very elemental, what actually is my meaning and purpose, and where do I place my energies vis-a-vis that meaning and purpose. Everyone, there's nobody, suggests our mystics, there is nobody on the face of this earth that should not spend a moment of contemplation every single day on that subject of what is my meaning and purpose, and what is my envisionment vis-a-vis my meaning and purpose. When I put meaning and purpose together, what is my envisionment, and then how am I going to actualize that vision without that kind of contemplation? The mystics tell us our lives are not going to be as meaningful as we would like them to be.
Rabbi?
I just before I'm going to answer that response, I want you to, I saw this years ago, I want you to envision the word contemplation in your mind. And contemplation, I think this is an insight from Reb Zalman, but I'm not 100% sure. Whoever said it, I like it. The word contemplation is really a combination of template, which means to make the connection, to the template of creation, to the template of my purpose and meaning, to the template of the essence in which I am created, in the divinity that I am created in the likeness of. Contemplation means to make the connection to the grand template of the universe, to keep my eye on the big picture. Yeah.
So I have my own hand up.
I'll call on you, Marcia.
Thank you. Very early on in this conversation, when you were saying in accordance with where in the progression of who was created on what day, who and what, that our being created on the sixth day gives us a certain responsibility, an opportunity, and
potential
for being conscious. And I think that having that available to us is the gift, and also our ability to contemplate and think and recognize that we have a purpose, in addition to getting caught up with our lives, which distracts us from that awareness, also the ability to ponder it can be a sort of a distraction in and of itself. I have said this before. My mother used to tell me that I would be so much happier if I would just stop thinking so much. And it's only recently that I've realized that not the truth in the way she meant it, which was that it just drove me and everybody around me crazy. It was that the only thinking about it is a trap. And we have the ability to think, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. And until I know what this great big purpose is, I can't do anything. We also all have tuition. In Liz Sterling's class today, she was talking about the third eye. And sometimes those visions come to us. And again, if they aren't big and impressive, we don't recognize them. And so all the opportunities we have to be aware, to be open, to recognize, partially we're too busy, partially we're overthinking it, and partially we just don't recognize it when it comes. So my unhappiness from thinking wasn't unhappiness, and it wasn't based on thinking too much. It was based on not employing all the other parts of myself.
Marcia,
with the thinking to actualize.
Marcia, beautifully said, and a beautiful addition to the teaching. I agree with it all, that contemplation for just for the sake of contemplation, or asking questions that are revolving questions that have no real answers, and certainly to give up on life because there are no answers, is exactly what we're not talking about. What we are talking about is the type of let me add this, and this I have this as a near ending to the teaching, but I think it's going to be in response to what you just beautifully said, Marcia. The biblical character that is most closely associated with Tiferet is Jacob, is Yaakov. And very, I'm gonna do this like super fast. If you take a summary of Jacob's life, you're gonna find like two or three common denominators. Jacob's life begins, middle, and end with struggling to find himself. Jacob, throughout every single incident that is recorded in the Torah, and this is why it's in the Torah, because Jacob is the paradigm, the model for the individual who is attempting to discover self-purpose. He is, throughout all of his lifetime, he's trying to discover and then rediscover his true identity for his entire life. He is constantly like revisiting himself, and whomever he finds in whatever situation or paradigm, he is reevaluating himself vis-a-vis his meaning and purpose in life. That's why he is called Yisrael. He is called the God wrestler. The God wrestler. And don't forget the imagery of Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder is an imagery of connecting heaven and earth, connecting the highest realms of human consciousness to the lowest thoughts and actions of man, and trying to create a harmony, rungs on the ladder, in order to ascend from the bottom to the top. Jacob, throughout his lifetime, is constantly looking for self-transcendence. And when he finds self-transcendence, when Jacob finds himself on a certain rung of his own ladder, on a certain level of his own ladder, does he stop there? Does he succumb and retire? No. He keeps on climbing Jacob's ladder. And friends, the central rung on Jacob's ladder is Tiferet. Jacob is the epitome and the embodiment of Tiferet, one who is attempting constantly throughout life, at whatever stage, to find new meaning and new purpose. Because every single day, that's why we say, Baruch Hashem, Yom Yom. Let us bless God every single day, because every single day is another experiment on Jacob's ladder. And every single day, Marcia was talking at the beginning of class, she's starting a new adventure on the west coast of Florida. That's only one out of so many different examples of where I am, where you are. Everyone on any given day is in a different paradigm. We just, days move so calmly and so slowly that we hardly realize it. Every birthday, every occasion is really a juncture in one of the rungs on Jacob's ladder. And every one of our situation has a tiferet in it, has a central point of where we ought to re-ask ourselves. How can I extract new, insightful, magnificent meaning and purpose in my new scenario, on my new day? Today's Monday. On Tuesday is a different day. Baruch Hashem, Yom Yom. What is it? Tiferet is at the potential and energy of Tiferet is asking, what is it in this day that can give me meaning and purpose? One little thing, one little phone call, one little anything. You know what Tiferet is called in mystical language? Tiferet is called the sphira that is the bolt, B-O-L-T, the bolt that binds all of the upper spherotic energies to all of the lower spherotic energies. Tiferet is that one bolt, that one connector that bolts everything together and that creates unity among the higher sphirot and the lower sphirot.
Do we have time for, excuse me, we're coming down to the wire. We have God Wrestler Sandra with her hand up.
I've often wanted to ask the question, because it's been in my mind about when Jacob struggles with the angel or the God angel, and his name becomes Israel. Now, that is the name of our land. Our nation is in Israel. Does that mean we are forever going to struggle as a nation?
That's a beautiful question, Sandy. I would answer it in this way. Just the answer is on the first level. On the first level, we have to understand that there are two types of struggles. There is a very painful kind of struggle that sometimes becomes so painful that it's debilitating, and really it threatens the entire existence and essence of the struggler. Then there's another type of struggle that does not threaten the existence of the struggler, as was in Jacob's case. At one point, his entire existence was being threatened through his struggles with his brother and others. There's another type of struggle that is not threatening to one's essence, but I would call it a healthy type of struggle that is a struggle of refinement, is a perpetual struggle of purification, of getting better all the time, of not being satisfied with resting on one rung of Jacob's ladder, but rather that kind of struggle that is an encouraging type of struggle. It's that struggle that someone's pointing their finger in your little ribs and saying, you can do more, you can do better. It's that type of struggle. That type of struggle, I think, is a good kind of struggle. It is a struggle that I believe enlivens Yisrael. It encourages Yisrael for purification, for reaching up to the heights, for being better all the time. So the threatening type of struggle that threatens our essence, we can do without. The type of struggle, our sages teach us that even in the times of the Messianic era, when things are going to be quite at peace, quite at harmony, will not necessarily be a time without struggle, because struggle, the good kind of struggle is the one that advances us and enlightens us and creates a type of enlivenment that prevents our own death.
I love that. And I just remembered that after the struggle, even though he was marked and was infirm because of the struggle, he had the courage to meet with his brother. Yes.
And he comes out outside of that limp, that metaphoric limp. He comes out and lives out his life in Shalva and embodies Tiferet. He becomes the strong bolt of Tiferet for the rest of and leaves that legacy for the rest of Jewish history.
And you answered my lifelong question. Thank you.
And on that note, an actual answer to one of the unanswerable questions, we have come to the end of our class.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. We'll see. I'm sorry, we'll see you tomorrow at 10:30, and we're gonna do a little thing on Israel prior to, of course, Yom HaZikaron and Yom Ha'atzmaut.
This was wonderfully important to me because one of my